Hey everybody, my name is Kevin Pira, and today I have another batch of financial clips from the internet, which we know is the best place to get financial advice from. So let's not waste any more time. Let's go ahead and react to these clips.
Once you turn the ripe young age of 70 and a half, you are required to start selling off the assets inside of your traditional IRA because it's the government's way of saying, you're getting old now and we don't know how long you'll be around, but we want our tax money now. And that's why families can inherit Roth IRAs without the government worrying, because a Roth IRA is money that's already been taxed. A traditional IRA is money that is only taxed once it is sold. And so you can imagine why we don't allow traditional IRAs to be inherited, because then you'd create a situation where billionaires are passing off their billions to the next generation without ever being taxed. And because they can also borrow against their assets and their traditional IRAs, they can just sustain themselves on debt alone while paying lower taxes because they don't have any income.
Guys, this clip has over 2 million views and it gets almost everything wrong. So when he filmed this clip, the RMDs were actually age 72, not 70 and a half. And nowadays they're age 73 and eventually they'll be age 75. Now, traditional IRAs are not taxed when you sell the assets in the account. They're taxed when you take a distribution, and they're going to be taxed at ordinary income rates. Also, traditional IRAs can absolutely be inherited IRAs, so that is just flat out wrong. There is the 10-year rule, so that's when a non-spouse beneficiary has to withdraw those assets, generally within 10 years. Now, inherited Roth IRAs are not these magical, accounts with no rules. They generally have their own set of rules as well. And lastly, traditional IRAs, you cannot borrow against them. So again, so many things in this clip were wrong, and it just frustrates me that this has over 2 million views and only really one thing in the clip was right. That's frustrating.
I want you to pay for your Ashley furniture.
Oh yeah, why do you have debt?
0%.
Why do you have consumer debt on the balance sheet?
0% financing. And people, they play golf. I go and finesse the finances.
And you go borrow money from Ashley Furniture. All right, whatever.
Yeah, I got 50% off though because my friend works there. My friend's mom works there.
You even got a huge deal and you still borrowed the money.
You had one slip and fall where you didn't make the payment. Did you read the actual statement language?
I've never missed a payment in my life.
It's accruing at like 30+% a month. And they're just like, please let Caleb screw this up. Screw this up so that they can actually wallop you with all that interest.
I immediately get the thing in the mail. Automatic payment is turned on that day to make sure it is paid off by the time it would hit interest. And then I just invest the rest.
You know what your time is worth. Us even having this conversation on Ashley Furniture.
We're losing money on it.
We've already lost
losing money on this conversation.
Unless this thing gets 1 million views and then it's good content. But otherwise, it's a wasted effort.
Well, Brian, this video did get over 2.5 million views. So maybe Caleb was onto something with the financing from Ashley Furniture. But all jokes aside, yes, someone like Caleb should absolutely not be wasting their time even filling out credit applications with Ashley Furniture. I 100% would just buy that outright and not worry about it again.
How much debt do you have?
$1 billion.
Are you ever worried about defaulting on the debt?
It gets me sexually stimulated. Now, I'll tell you why, okay? You owe the bank $20 million and you can't pay it back. You got a problem. But you owe the bank $1 billion and you can't pay it back. Is there a problem?
Okay, so this dude's a little crazy in some instances. So obviously, Robert, he's gone crazy with his debts. But then again, obviously he's worth a ton of money, or I would assume a pretty high net worth based on what I've heard. But then again, can you apply that to most people? Of course not. So don't let someone who's kind of a unicorn and try to follow what they're doing as good financial guidance. But it's very interesting to watch from afar and see how this gentleman, approaches his finances.
Congratulations on closing on your first home. Your loan is for $300,000 at 3.5 interest, and your monthly mortgage payments is $1,347. Sounds good, but I'm actually going to be paying you $1,500 per month. Why would you do that? Well, I know that if I just made the regular monthly mortgage payments, then I'll be paying about $185,000 in interest over the lifetime of the loan. Yes, that's correct. But if I pay an additional $153 per month, my total interest reduces to $151,000, saving me $34,000 over the lifetime of the loan. Plus, I'll finish off paying the loan in 25 years and 1 month versus the traditional 30 years. It's pretty significant savings for just putting in an additional $5 per day.
I'll have to double check the numbers behind that specific mortgage, But that general rule of thumb is very true. I mean, especially the higher your interest rate is on the mortgage, making an additional principal payment each month is going to significantly reduce the amount of interest you'll pay over that loan. So again, if you have a mortgage, strongly recommend even an extra $100, $200 a month goes so far when it comes to a mortgage. So please double check an online calculator and see how much you can save. It's a great way to, reduce that debt significantly and accelerate it. Now, of course, a 3.5% interest rate on a mortgage is pretty low. So again, I'll have to double check the numbers on that specific situation. But overall, yeah, that's pretty solid advice. And I would definitely tackle some more onto that debt.
So what if I told you that Coca-Cola is one of the rarest 50 companies in the world? There are only 50 kings in the stock market world. Dividend kings, that is, and Coke is one of them. For every share of Coca-Cola that you own, you get paid 3.01%. That's known as the yield on the share price of Coca-Cola every year. This is known as a dividend, which is a portion of profit that the company passes back to you just for owning their shares. A dividend king is a company with 50 or more years of consecutive dividend increases. So here's the full list of them on the screen right now. Make sure to take a screenshot. By investing in these, you are virtually guaranteed a dividend, which is a true form of passive income.
Yeah, dividends are nice, although their taxation isn't as favorable compared to like long-term capital gains. However, one thing people get a little too focused on when it comes to dividends is chasing that dividend yield versus just the total return of the stock. I would rather own a stock that is performing better long-term and has a total higher return without a dividend than a stock that, say, has a pretty good dividend, but the actual equity return on the price is not doing a whole lot. So, I see that a lot of time, especially people in the younger generations around my age. They'll get these stocks that have 10, 11, 12, 15% dividend yields, but the stocks are going nowhere or going negative. And over time, that's going to hurt you like crazy. So again, nothing against dividends, and I think it has a proper way to fit into a portfolio, but be very careful chasing these type of stocks. But again, I think it's really cool that there's companies out there that are dividend kings that keep increasing their dividends. So that's a new term that I haven't heard of.
She took out a $500, 900% interest payday loan. You borrow $1,000 for this one, you pay back a total of $4,413. For what?
We needed money for groceries.
Why did you take this out? Be real. Come on.
I bought a PlayStation 5. Really wanted one, and so
Nothing like collections for PS5s.
got a PlayStation 5.
Do you play it?
Yeah, all the time.
You should read a book.
That is absolutely insane. I could not imagine getting a loan for $1,000 and then the payback is over $4,000 for a PlayStation 5. I mean, I would do just about anything else before I would consider those type of finance terms. I mean, that is truly crazy and sad to see that there are people out there falling for that. And she did mention the groceries, so I don't know what exactly she spent the money on, but clearly there's a level of desperation there. So that just goes to show you guys, these companies, they are out to really, I would say, ruin your life, because obviously you have to take responsibility, but there's people, casting these lines out there and people fall right on the hook. So very sad to see, and this is how people end up filing, bankruptcies because of stuff like this.
If you understand history, the reason I pay no taxes is because I borrow money. I'm a debtor. And check this out. I mean, all you communists out there, check this stuff out. I am a billionaire in debt. You know why? Because I get tax breaks for borrowing money. And the reason I am so rich is because I'm in debt. And my friend Dave Ramsey says, live debt free. Well, you're an idiot. I mean, he's my friend, but I say, Dave, I like debt. He says, I know, but most people can't handle debt. I said, I agree. But that's why there's no financial education in schools, because if you knew how to handle debt, you wouldn't save that crappy dollar you have in your hand. I'd rather borrow the money tax-free.
Yeah, so it kind of goes into that live, borrow, die, motto out there. And while it is some truth to that, and there's definitely a lot of strategy that can be worked around there, of course, you still have to pay interest to a bank, and it's not a perfect system. So instead of paying taxes, you're going to be paying interest, and there's a couple of more things out there attached to it. But yeah, I mean, on this circumstance, I would more side with Dave Ramsey for what the average person should do. I would rather see somebody following the principles of living debt-free than going into a ton of debt. But obviously, you know, Robert, he's more of a unicorn. We're not going to see a bunch of people going $1 billion in debt. So again, this is one of those things that's just funny to watch from afar and interesting to watch, but definitely not something I would want to replicate or teach other people to do.
This truck was one of the worst financial decisions of my life, and let me tell you why. I bought it a little over a year ago. At the time, I purchased it for around $125,000. I put down around $50,000 and my payment came out to around $1,375 per month. Currently, I still owe around $69,000 on the balance. This truck's current value is probably $80,000 max if I want to go sell it. So now let's do the math. If I would have put that $57,000 into Section 8 real estate instead of buying this truck. So that $57,000 could have got me 3 Section 8 properties. Each of those properties cash flowing right around $500 a month. So with those 3 properties, I would have made $18,000 in that year of ownership. So instead of making $18,000, I lost $57,000. And guys, I'm in a financial place in my life where this kind of irresponsibility is okay. It's not going to affect me that much. But as you can see, that is the power of investing into assets versus liabilities.
Okay, so he's obviously very young and he's trying to learn a very good lesson here about finance, which is, yeah, you shouldn't be putting a ton of money into things that are known to go down in value. One of those being a big truck. And you know, I live out here in the Midwest, so I see it all the time. These over 6-figure trucks driving around. And yeah, look, I mean, it's not even the Section 8 housing that he went into. You know, just putting that into the stock market at a young age, or max out a Roth IRA or do a backdoor Roth IRA if he makes too much. You know, that over time, you know, that's millions of dollars in tax-free growth he's probably missing out on. So, you know, this guy, you know, it's one of those things that you kind of, it's good that he's learning it at a young age and that he's sort of seeing his ways of his mistakes. But man, that sucks, because that is literally millions of dollars probably he forego for just drive around in a truck. That sucks.
I have a lot of money in my 401k.
Okay, I'm sorry for you.
Why do you feel sorry for him? It's a way to put money in without paying taxes on it.
It's a way for you to be trapped for 30 years.
Well, you can pull it out when you're
63. How old are you right now?
50.
13 years from now, will taxes be higher or lower?
Higher.
You will wish you would have sold them when you were 50, because you'd pay lower taxes, dude.
You don't pay any taxes when you pull out money out of your 401k if you wait until you're 63.
When you start using that money, you're going to pay taxes, bro. You weren't charged taxes while it sat there. What's wrong with you? You're
the
not.
IRS allows penalty-free withdrawals from retirement accounts after the age of 59 and a half.
Penalty-free, not tax-free. So they're going to charge you a penalty. They're going to put handcuffs on you to sell it before then. But dude, when you're 63 years old, when you start withdrawing, you're going to start paying taxes at that point.
Okay, so we have a couple points of confusion in this clip. So the age is 59 and a half. So if you withdraw before 59 and a half, you will get that 10% penalty, which is different from the tax side. The taxes are a completely different ballgame. Now, if he has a traditional 401k, he got a tax break up front when he first put that money in, and when he does withdraw that money, that's when he's going to pay the ordinary income taxes on those withdrawals. Now, hopefully, if he does it right, you can actually have a significantly reduced tax bill in retirement because you're not working anymore, so your total income is lower, which allows those taxes to come out at a lower rate. Now, there of course is the Roth 401k. So if he did a Roth 401k, he didn't get a tax break up front, so he paid those taxes going in, and then he will not have to pay any taxes when he withdraws in retirement. That is the best case scenario for somebody who's worried about, you know, future taxes, or doesn't want to have to worry about, you know, RMDs, which are required minimum distributions. But again, Grant, while he's correcting him in some ways in this clip, is coming from the stance of all 401ks are basically bad and a time waster, and you should use my course to set yourself financially free and 10x your money and all this stuff. When in reality, most Americans, that is the first 7-figure account that they reach. And the reason why is because you're disciplined, you're investing in the background slowly at a time and letting compound interest work its magic. So it is not a bad thing to have a bunch of money in a 401k. Now, is that the only thing you should do? That depends on your life and, you know, what you're trying to achieve. But having a bunch of money in a 401k is a great thing, and you just need to be smart about the tax situation around it.
I just got my first credit card. How do I use it properly?
Oh, let me show you. When you go on your weekly shop or fill up with fuel, put it all on your credit card.
But why can't I just use my debit card?
Because this will boost your credit score, which will make it cheaper for you to buy a house or car in the future.
But I heard credit cards ruined credit scores.
Not if you keep the balance low. The trick is to use less than 30% of your available credit.
But won't that just put me in debt?
Well, temporarily, but if you pay it off in full at the end of every month, you'll never pay any interest.
Yeah, so this is pretty solid advice. You know, if you want to have a good credit score, then having a credit card and putting your groceries, your gas on there and paying that off at the end of each month is a good way to not pay any interest and to have a good credit score, which I think is the best and most responsible thing to do for most people. However, there are people who are just not credit card people. So if you're not a credit card person, please do not destroy your financial foundation by getting into one and paying 30% interest on your charges. It is definitely not worth it and can just spiral out of control. So you have to be honest with yourself and know what is best for you. And you can make it work either way, but it just depends on the type of person you are.
Because you have $152,000, $27,000 in bad debt. That is a number that just shouldn't even be considered as a number for someone in your age. You can't take responsibility. The future is just not there.
Yeah, I don't know. I keep thinking about the worst case scenario.
What, bankruptcy?
Yeah.
That'd be really tough to go through at 25, but...
Especially with my car too. I think that's what's kind of stopping me from going that route.
Okay, so obviously extremely emotionally overwhelming for this young lady who is only 25 years old with over 6 figures in bad debt. So, you know, if she came to me, the first thing I would do is just map out everything and get an idea exactly where her income is, her debt is. If there's not a realistic way to pay that off in a realistic timeline, then yeah, bankruptcy is a way to go, guys. And I'll tell you this, bankruptcy is one of those things that I think it's frowned upon so much in our society, but for so many people, it's such a good freeing tool to use. And you know, she definitely might qualify for Chapter 7, the liquidation type of bankruptcy, which would just completely wipe out all of her unsecured debts if she qualified for it. And a lot of states, if not all of them, usually get to keep like your car, your house. Usually there's a specific amount of equity that's protected in those type of assets. So, you know, she really could be completely protected on that end and get to wipe out all of that debt. And I'll tell you guys, sometimes that's just the route you have to take. And, you know, yeah, she's young, she's 25, but realistically, usually your credit score bounces back after just a few years. And in the big picture, would you rather be freed from 6 figures of crippling debt or worry about your credit score for a few years, you know? Again, I would have her consult with a bankruptcy attorney and a good financial advisor to take a look at everything, but you know, there's no shame in filing for bankruptcy if you need to. And I think if you are someone who qualifies for, you know, Chapter 7 in that scenario, or even Chapter 11 or 13, then, you know, more power to you and you should use it to your advantage.
My advice to people is if you got $500 in your bank account, go buy a Burberry t-shirt, take out that loan, buy your dream car. Because do you really think you're never gonna make money ever again? You have, say, $50,000 in your name. Do you want to try and invest it, or maybe just take out a loan, drive a Lamborghini, and then figure it out from there?
Okay, so I don't know if he's being sarcastic or not, because I know this guy's kind of crazy about that stuff, but yeah, obviously you should not go buy a $500 t-shirt. I mean, of all things, you're gonna buy a t-shirt with $500, that is crazy to me. You know, I never understood the fashion, you know, at least with a car, at least you have kind of a cool car to drive, but man, a t-shirt, that's crazy. But no, I would highly recommend you get your financial foundation together and in order. And just because you can earn more money later does not mean you need to be reckless today. So again, he chuckled during it, so I'm assuming he was joking, but you don't know nowadays. All right, guys, that is all the clips that I have for today. So quite a few interesting ones in there, and hopefully you'd enjoyed watching them as much as I did. Again, if you're new around here, please consider subscribing. Leaving a like on the video helps a lot as well. And I would love to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. Again, thank you so much for watching, and have a great day.